Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us. You're watching Bourbon Battles, and my name's Joe. Hey, we've gotten a lot of great support lately. The subscribers are way up, the comments are way up, everything's looking good. Everything for the YouTube algorithms has gotten so much better, and that's because of you guys and the comments. I can't tell you how much of a difference it makes when you comment, especially on the YouTube video itself. So, hey, we're well on our way to do some really cool things here at Bourbon Battles, and we're so happy you're along for the ride. So today I've got a fun episode for me, at least. This is pretty near and dear to my heart. Since I've been drinking a lot of whiskey, these things have kind of come to the forefront for me. If you're brand new to whiskey, this may not be your video. And I'll explain why. Because today we're going to talk about high proof whiskeys that you can actually go out and buy. Not just any high proof whiskeys, really, really good high proof whiskeys. So when you're new to drinking bourbon, you don't necessarily want to drink the high proof stuff. You're going to put it on a rock. You're going to do these things. You might as well get a lower proof and graduate into these things. So, hey, I've been doing this for, well, since 2021 now on YouTube. So as you drink more and more whiskey, your palate becomes accustomed to the higher proof stuff. And for most people like myself, they actually prefer the higher proof stuff. So again, what I want to talk to you today about is whiskeys that you can go most places. And I know some of you are going to see this and say, I can't get that in my state. They don't have that where I live. That's crazy, or that's not good. I want to hear that. Put that in the comments. Or, hey, do me a favor and put your favorite high proof whiskey that's fairly easy to get. Tell me what that is in the comments, and let me know what I missed. I know I missed something on this list. So, I want to hear about that as well. Let's check this out and I'll tell you what I'm drinking. Man, oh man, is that so good? That's probably my favorite whiskey on this list. And we'll make it the last thing that I show. So as I said here, I was really torn between two different whiskeys. If you know me very well, you know which two those were, on which one to kind of highlight as my favorite, right? It's really hard to pick a favorite because a lot of these things are so different. And I think last week, maybe I released a video. It was one of our blind battles where it was Old Forester 1920 versus Wild Turkey Rare Breed. That video's gotten more comments, mostly on Facebook than anything else. But that's what we love to see, right? That drives people in the algorithms, and more people get exposed to it. What I loved about that was, if I didn't go and tally everything up, but I think the main consensus was the majority of people thought 1920 was better than Wild Turkey Rare Breed. But it was so close, and so many people said, hey, it's a coin flip. And I agree with that. I picked the Old Forester 1920. Sorry if I spoiled it for you and you're planning on watching it this weekend. So let's get it right into these. We just talked about it. Let's talk about this one first. And just so you know, these are in no particular order. I'm going to throw these up here one at a time. The only one that's in a specific order is my very favorite. Two I'm going to leave for last. And they're almost a coin flip. So Wild Turkey Rare Breed comes to us from the Wild Turkey Distillery. It's 116.8 proof. It's that classic wild turkey taste. I think you can make an argument that this is the best thing that's obtainable at all from wild turkey. A lot of people tell you the Russell's Reserve Single Barrel beats this out. And I got a lot of those comments in that last video that featured Wild Turkey Rare Breed. So Wild Turkey Rare Breed and a Russell's Single Barrel store pick went in the bucket there for a future blind battle whenever it gets randomly drawn. And if I had to guess, I will probably pick the single barrel store pick. I tried not to pick my favorite one, and I didn't pick my least favorite one either. So I tried to go middle of the road with that. Of course, I make them that aren't store picks as well, but I tend to prefer those. In fact, I prefer a lot of those store picks over Russell's 13. Call me crazy, call me what you will, but I will stand by that comment through and through. So first one on our list, Wild Turkey Rare Breed. Hey, this stuff will make you gobble. It's really, really good stuff. If you don't have one of those on your bar, I'd be getting one sooner than later. Try not to get too much into that. Next on our list, hey, from the Buffalo Trace Distillery, benchmark full proof, coming to you at 125 proof. This stuff is the same mash bill as Eagle Rare, Buffalo Trace, some of the best things they make over there. Can't quite see it all, but look that up. Buffalo Trace mash bill one's where this is coming from. Of course, it's, the little brother to Stag, which used to be Stag Junior, right? I'm nursing that last little small pour I have. Right, this would have made the list, but you can't find this shit nowhere. Come on, Buffalo Trace, let's put more of the stuff out people love. So this is that younger and a little bit lower proof. I don't know what the Stag Junior comes in at, and of course its biggest brother, George T. Stag, at the 130 some proof. It's one of my favorite whiskeys in the world, no doubt about it. But it is completely unobtainable. So easy on the shelf everywhere you go in Indiana. Benchmark foolproof, and hey, the bonded's good, the top shelf is good, the single barrel's good. That whole Benchmark family is really good. So you know me very well. You know me very well. You know how much I love Jim Beam. So this wouldn't be a high proof, easy to obtain list without Granddad 114. I'm sorry, Old Grand 114. It's 114 proof coming out of the Jim Beam distillery. It's that nuttiness. It's everything you like about Jim Beam. It's everything I love about Jim Beam. As you can see, this one's almost gone. I have a couple backups of this. So what's interesting about Old Granddad 114 is almost every year, every other year, you'll start to hear these rumors. They're not doing it no more. They're not doing it no more. Look, and then it kind of goes scarce for a little while. Keep your eyes peeled. You'll be able to find one of these. I almost put the Knob Creek single barrels in the list. Probably should have. I don't have any single barrel store picks in here, but those Knob Creeks at $120 is this, a step up. But this is everywhere. And, those 120 proof Knob Creeks, I think if I drove around for the better part of a day, I'd find a couple, but not necessarily. So I wanted all these to be very easily obtainable, at least where I'm at in Indiana. Like I said, you may disagree. Next up on the list, we talked about the Wild Turkey Rare Breed, and this is what just beat it in my blind. Old Forester 1920, coming to you from the Old Forester Distillery in downtown Louisville, Kentucky at 115 proof. They call it the Prohibition style out of their Whiskey Rose series. This is fantastic stuff. It's not very old. It surprises a lot of people. I was watching another YouTube video today from a content creator that does whiskey, and he said you can put this stuff in some really, really high-end bottles and trick a lot of people. Now, I'm not into that game, but he's right. What the spirit of that was, this stuff drinks so much higher than its value, right? This is easy to find where I'm at. This came in a little set with 1897 and 1910, so these little 375s. Love this stuff. Love everything Old Forester does. Maybe with the exception of the birthday bourbon. I'm not the biggest fan of that. For what it brings and everything, it's decent. I like this better than birthday bourbon. I like 1910 better than birthday bourbon. I like 1897 better than birthday bourbon. But yeah, hey, if you get a chance, go down there to Louisville and check out Old Forester. It's on Main Street. There's tons of stuff to do there. There's like 6 or 7 distilleries. Probably actually more than that, with different experiences that are down there that represent different distilleries. There's a lot to do, and you can park your car and walk around. My wife and I have done it many times and have a really, really good time. Awesome distillery, awesome gift shop. That's where I was able to pick up this bad boy right here. We just happened to walk in one day and they're setting these on the counter. So you never know. Go to the distilleries. They're fun, and you might pick something up. And I've been to Jim Beam. Beautiful, beautiful campus. We talked about the Old Granddad 114. One of the absolute must-see distilleries out there. I like talking about the distilleries, if you can't tell, as I talk through the whiskey, because that's part of this whole experience. Buffalo Trace is amazing. I'm not a huge fan of waiting in line. I've done it to get, we walked in and got some Blantons. Cool, right? Everybody loves Blantons. It's got a horsey on it. That's cool. And I don't knock on anybody for wanting Blantons. If you want to wait in line for a couple hours for Blantons, cool. And the tours are free at Buffalo Trace, but it's kind of like getting lottery ticket or concert tickets, right? You got to win the lottery internally. So that's where that Stag Junior comes from, the Benchmark. Wild Turkey's got one of the most beautiful campuses in all of whiskey. It's an amazing place. And a lot of times when you go down there, I have not done this, but you get lucky and you get to meet Jimmy Russell and have him sign a bottle. Really, really cool. Okay, so what do we got next on the list? Some of this stuff's going to surprise you. Some of it's going to surprise you how much I really like this, and I'm going to run out of this. So I'm going to have to get a little nip of something along the way. So this next one's going to come as a bit of a caveat. It's going to surprise a lot of you. So in total transparency, I had Stephen Eds from Log Still Distillery on the show talking about the Monks Road series and doing some different things. Well, Stephen and I filmed the second episode that same day. We drew out of the blind, right? We just drew two expressions blind, and we both picked this next one over Weller Foolproof. Let that sink in. The video footage was deleted, so it's back in there. Weller Foolproof and this expression to see what goes on. I just saw another content creator just put this out today. Yeah, so it's interesting. Now, to get this, you got to live by a Total Wine, right? It's Old Emer cast strength. So this stuff's really interesting. It's a Total Wine exclusive, which means you can only buy it at Total Wine. It's 116.6 proof. It uses Emer wheat. Now, what's really interesting about Emer wheat is the only distillery we know of in Kentucky, and this is a Kentucky product, it says it right on the label, the only distillery we know of that uses Emer wheat is Buffalo Trace. Huh. What does Buffalo Trace make that's wheated like this? Well, they make Pappy and all the Weller lineup, but that doesn't have Emer wheat in it. The Daniel Weller, I don't think it's Daniel LaRue Weller. Daniel Weller is going for like $3,000 or $4,000 uses Emer wheat. So the theory is that this is kind of those rejected barrels that didn't make it to those high-end bottles, but it's probably not as old. It doesn't drink as old. I know what I'm talking about. I've not had the Daniel Weller. But if you live near a Total Wine, this stuff is like $40. And I've seen it in 2 or 3 Total Wines lately. They'll let you taste it first. Go get a bottle of this stuff. This stuff is better than Weller Foolproof. There, I said it. People pay $300 for Weller Foolproof. Is everybody going to like it better? No, they're not. In fact, I'd hedge my bets and say, in a true blind, the majority of people would like it better, but Weller Foolproof is going to win out for a lot of people. But for the price difference, you can't beat it. So check this out. Total Wine, exclusive. You can only buy it there. That's what she looks like, that label there. Go get one. I guess from what I understand, these proofs vary just a little bit from location to location, which makes sense. See, I'm nosing that Old Emer right now. It's just a caramel sweetness. It's amazing. It is an amazing wheated cast strength bourbon. So let's get right on to the next one. Hey, well, we're going to switch it up. I had to do a rye for me, right? One of the best ryes you can get that's high proof, and at least around in Indiana. I know they don't distribute to everybody. It's Hard Truth. Hard Truth is out of Nashville, Indiana. What a lot of people refer to as Brown County, Indiana. This is 117.6 proof. It's a sweet mash rye. They're through several different releases of this now. In fact, they've released some sweet mash bourbon. I've tried some of it in a restaurant. Hard Truth has been great to work with for me. I absolutely love their sweet mash rye. I think it's one of the best ryes on the market, and at least in Indiana and Kentucky, because I've seen it there, and Florida, it's everywhere. And I know the price point scares a lot of people at that $60-some range because they've never had it before. Just get you a bottle. I absolutely love it. I'm trying to think if I can say it's my favorite rye, and I tend to think that it's not my favorite rye, but I can't tell you what rye I like better than that right now. So it's an amazing product, a good price point. And if you're ever in that southern Indiana, even central Indiana area, and you want to do one of the coolest distillery experiences in all of America, it's Hard Truth. They've got beer, they've got food, they've got mixed drinks, cocktails. My wife loves it. There's a tasting room. You can do ATV tours, you name it. That place is awesome. I think you can even spend the night there. So in a little cabin. If you've never been to Brown County, Indiana, it's a real treat. I'm lucky enough that I only live about 30 minutes from there, so it's really easy for me to pop down. Man, that Old Emer is good. So next on our list, this one might surprise a lot of people. This is Rebel Cast Strength. So they make two of these similar looking bottles. One's a cast strength and one's a distiller's collection. They're both excellent. These are 120 proof. They come to us from Lux Row in Bardstown, Kentucky. Super modern distillery. Very cool to check out. And they always have bottles that are really hard to get in the gift shop. So I saw this the other day. I actually saw it at a Total Wine for like $40. Hey, Sobro Spirits in Broad Ripple, Indiana, Indianapolis, Indiana, has one of their store picks. These are almost always store picks. In fact, they may be exclusively store picks, but you see them everywhere. Pick one of these up, and if you're in that central Indiana area, go see Sobro Spirits there in Broad Ripple. That one they have is absolutely amazing. It's one of my favorite ones. This is that one exact, I believe. Uh-oh, we have a problem. Well, I'm figuring out how to fix my problem. I want to tell you about something. If you've never heard of the Stave and Thief Society, make sure you check them out at staveandthief.com. They've got some education classes if you want to expand your bourbon knowledge. And one of those classes happens to be what they call the Executive Bourbon Steward course. And if you use this discount code that you see on your screen, Bourbon Battles Blind, BBB 15% off that course. I don't think you'd be upset you did it. We've actually had a lot of our viewers sign up for that. So if you have any questions about it, go to bourbonbattlesblind.com, find my email, shoot me an email. I'll be more than happy to talk to you about it. So there's two left. I got to figure out what to do with this still. Let's put the next one on here. These two are very hard for me to pick a winner. They're so drastically different, right? And I'm going to pick a winner, and it's going to be my last one. But the next one on the list, I know you're going to say it, right? It's not the easiest thing in the world to find. But, I pop in liquor stores all the time, and I'd say in the last week or so, I've seen these in probably half the stores I go in Indiana. So these are true single barrel products, so they vary in proof. This particular one happens to be 128.2 proof. They're high proof. They're in the $60-some range. I've seen this beat George T. Stagg in a straight up blind. People think that's crazy. Well, have you done it? Have you done it in a true blind? Try it. You might surprise yourself. So Jack Daniel's Distillery is probably my absolute favorite distillery to visit down in Lynchburg, Tennessee. It's like a whole experience and all kinds of stuff to do. You can walk around that little village. When I was there happened to be a barbecue festival and competition, so that probably didn't hurt anything, right? Really, really cool place. Now, quite a bit further south than most of the stuff in Kentucky. But if you get down that way, you need to check it out. Right down there off I-65 in Lynchburg, Tennessee, or not too far from 65. Really, really cool place. And the stories that come with Jim Beam are absolutely amazing. Speaking of stories from Jim Beam, in the description, in the comments, I'll put a link to the episode I did on Uncle Nearest, which ties right back to the Jim Beam story. I think it's the best episode I've ever done, and hardly anybody watched it. So if you made it this far and you haven't seen the Uncle Nearest episode, please go over there and watch it and let me know what you think about it. That's one of my better episodes I've ever done, in my opinion. It's an absolutely amazing story. So there would be no Jack Daniels without Uncle Nearest. So I'll leave it at that. So if you don't have a Jack Daniel's single barrel proof, I know that's a mouthful, you need to have one in your collection. See if we can tie all this together real quick. If you know me very well, you know my number one pick is Maker's Mark 46 cask strength. This could easily be substituted for Maker's Mark cask strength, depending on what your palate prefers, or any of the private selects from Maker's Mark. They're all higher proof. So Maker's Mark 46 cask strength comes to us at 110 proof. It's got a really low barrel entry proof. I can't read it from here, of course. But guys, this stuff destroys big bad bourbons blind every single time. Weller full proof, Lot B, you name it. Old Rip Van Winkle. This is amazing whiskey, and it still has this persona about it because it's got that red wax. It's Maker's Mark, and it's not that good of whiskey. You are so wrong if you think that. That Jack Daniels is bananas. It is so good. You should have that in your collection. You should have all these in your collection, in my opinion. So, hey, let me know in the comments what you thought about this video. Let me know what you want to see in future videos. Let me know how dumb you think it is. Give me ideas for new content, different camera angles, whatever it is. I want to hear from you. Feel free to send me an email, bourbonbattlesblind@gmail.com. Love to correspond back and forth with you about any of these whiskeys or anything else. If you got any questions for me. So, guys, thanks for watching to the end. This was a long one. Really appreciate you. And, hey, I want to remind you, drinking bourbon is supposed to be fun. Do it with your friends. Do it responsibly. And you can do it blind, but whatever you do, don't drink and drive. Cheers.
If you drink, don't drive to the watermelon crawl.